Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Enjoying your day, making it wonderful, making it positive. You know what I mean? For me, we're just walking into the middle of the day, or about to, and all that. I know some of y'all are still just waking up, getting ready, getting your life together, and all that right now. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to every single last one of y'all, because I know some of y'all across the pond are watching, and the sun's about to go down, or the sun is gone, and your days are already over. So hopefully your day has ended great, or your day is beginning great. Okay? Well, we got some breaking news for you guys. For those of y'all who have been watching, or at least following closely around this particular case. Something a little different today, guys. I know lately we've been talking about one particular case a lot, because of all the developing information that's been thrown out here as of late. But I wanted to give you guys this story because you know for a fact in the very beginning when this story first broke, I was watching this and keeping close tabs on this for a very, very long time. And now we're starting to see more information, some new news revolving around this case. So we are going to talk about a bunch of things about this, which is very interesting. Okay. I know some of you guys may not be surprised. Some of you guys are. We're going to talk about it. That's why we are on live today. Anyway, so before we get into everything, all right, this is just breaking just a few minutes ago. So please hit that like button down below. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. Send it past 300 likes. That would really, really mean a lot as we start to proceed into the story. Okay. And do not forget, if you haven't done it yet, please hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family. Yeah. Let's get into this, shall we? We got things to talk about. So let's get into this. All right. Now, this is obviously breaking news. This just came out just a minute ago. And I know a lot of us have some questions. Like I got questions. Okay. I got plenty of questions, but let's take a look at this title real quick right here. All right. It says Alec Baldwin and Rust, female armorer, will be charged with involuntary M over his fatal aiming, okay, of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. And he also could face up to 18 months in jail. Very interesting stuff. Now, of course, I got to use these code words, guys. I'm sorry, but that's just these are the breaks, okay? But breaking as of just a few minutes ago, okay? Alec Baldwin and the Rust armorer, you know, the one, there's probably going to be a photo in here in this article, but you'll see. She's the one with the, blonde girl holding the guns up in the air, okay? They're both looking at they're both getting charged with involuntary manslaughter. Okay? Now, if you guys don't remember this, okay, back on October 22nd in 2021, okay, so this has been a minute. He was on set on a new movie that he is also co-producing called Rust. All right? As he was on set, there was a passing of a weapon to him because they were basically trying to make sure that they have the right shot for a specific scene and a specific movement. So he gets handed this gun. Unbeknownst to him, it's unbeknownst to him, it's loaded, but he believes, and from what everybody says, they say it's a cold gun, meaning that the gun is not loaded at all. You can, don't worry about it. No need to worry about hurting anybody or anything like that. He's handed this gun. They are practicing they're practicing blocking. He has the gun, and allegedly, from what Alec Baldwin claims, he just took the gun out and it went off. He says he did not pull the trigger. But this gun does go off. There apparently was a live round of a blank in that gun. It went through Halyna Hutchins' body, and it hit the director in the shoulder. Okay. Now, she obviously did not make it due to the gunshot wound that she received. Okay. So, of course, they've been doing everything they can to do as much deep diving, so on and so forth. Okay. And what's interesting about this is that there's always standard procedure whenever it comes to having a live round or a weapon of any kind on set. There is standard procedure. Even when you're practicing, even when you're doing fight choreography, they run through that fight choreography over and over and over and over again to make sure they got it right, and also to make sure that no one gets hurt. So you know for a fact when it comes to a weapon that is on set that happens to be a firearm, they have standard procedures that you have to abide by. But there were stories about the armorer being very lax about watching over the weapons and making sure that no live rounds were put in there, no blanks were put in there, so on and so forth. Been many stories and rumors floating around about what was going on the set of Rust. All right. So Alec Baldwin is handed a gun. Okay. He is told that the gun is cold. There's no live rounds in it. That's what it means. He holds the gun. They practice a movement, like a blocking for this particular scene where the gun, I guess, eventually would be going off. He pulls out the gun goes off. And according to him, the gun went off on its own. He did not pull the trigger, allegedly, according to Alec Baldwin. He even said this in an interview with George Stephanopoulos and all that about a year ago when this whole thing was popping off like crazy. But now, as you can see, that we were finding out today whether or not he was going to be charged. Today was the day we were going to find out, and it looks like he is actually going to get charged. We're going to talk about that more here in a second, but let's get into this article, okay? Just so you guys know, and that's a very broad stroke, okay? Very broad stroke of what went down. There's so much more. I got a bunch of videos on that. Please go and check those out when you get some time, okay? But in these bullets, it says Halyna Hutchins was shot unalive on the set of Rust on October 21st, 2021 by actor Alec Baldwin. There's no question about that. There's no speculation of any sort. He was holding the gun went off. So literally the gun went off, and that fragments of whatever was in that gun entered this woman's body. There is no question that Alec Baldwin was the one holding the weapon, okay? That eventually, unfortunately, took this young woman's life, okay? In the 15 months since, and it's been a while, there have been numerous lawsuits, accusations, investigations, and police reports. Baldwin and Gutierrez Reed face up to 18 months in prison if convicted. Dave Halls has pleaded guilty to one count of negligent use of a deadly weapon. We're going to get into this article, but I just wanted to give you the bullets real quick, okay? The highlights of this article, all right? But again, two people, the main actor and, by the way, one of the producers of this show, of this picture. And I know there's some other people that have been trying to, there's been a bit of pushback back in the day when I talked about this before. But hey, He's a producer. He's the one of the people that knows exactly where the money is going, how the money is spent. Not only is he the actor in this movie, but he's one of the people who's hiring the crew and the cast and making sure that that cast and crew get paid. That's what a producer does. Period. So there's some level of responsibility on his end when it comes to this. Real talk. More than just him holding the gun and the gun going off by itself. And I use air quotes for a very, very good reason, okay? Because some people think that he really did just pull the trigger for all willy-nilly for fun, right? But you don't ever do that. Even Alec Baldwin said that in the interview with George Stephanopoulos. You don't do that. It's unprofessional, and God forbid, it really does go off in somebody's face. You never do that even with a live, you never do that with a set gun. You never do that with a gun in general to anyone, ever, okay? Even when the gun is empty, you're always keeping the muzzle of the shotgun, gun, whatever firearm you have down. You don't point it towards somebody and just click, 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 click. No, you don't do that. Okay? That is not proper etiquette when handling a deadly weapon. But let's get into this, okay? Alec Baldwin and Rust Armorer Halyna Gutierrez Reed are to be charged with involuntary M in the fatal unaliving of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. New Mexico First Judicial District Attorney Altwies, hopefully I'm saying that right, and Rust Special Prosecutor Reeb announced the charges in a written statement today. Both Gutierrez, Reed, and Baldwin face a maximum of 18 months in prison if convicted. Dave Halls, like I said before, he's the assistant director. And this, let me just say this though. When it comes to Dave Halls, who was the assistant director, the reason why he pleaded guilty of the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon is because he is the last one that had the firearm. Okay? He is the last one to have the firearm handed, and that he is the one who handed that firearm to Alec Baldwin. And Alec Baldwin listened to Dave Halls saying, "Cold gun." Now it goes through different things, right? You got the armorer, and then that armorer is sitting there saying "cold gun" to somebody, right? All right. They finally hand it to the assistant director. He's told "cold gun." Then he takes that gun, he hands it over to Alec Baldwin, and he says, "Cold." Alec Baldwin believes that it is. But what's interesting is the reason why you have Dave Halls pleading guilty is probably because he didn't check the chamber. He probably never opened up the thing just to see if the thing was actually empty. And what's interesting is most sets, they go up, and on the set, if it's a revolver, if it's if it's a revolver, a 6-shooter, whatever. Okay, I'm not a huge gun knowledgeable of guns, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, especially with something like this, if it's a 6er, like a 6-shooter, you open it up, and you say, "Hey, see, empty, everybody." Just letting everybody know this is an empty gun. This is not loaded. Cold gun, everybody. No worries. There's nothing in here. As you guys can see, everyone sees it here. That's what they do. They will let everyone know if they have a live round in that gun, as far as like a blank, or if the gun is empty. They will let everyone know, just so you know, this is what's going on. And apparently, Dave Halls, I guess, didn't even open up the gun to see if there was anything empty, to see if there was anything in the gun. He just handed it over. to Alec and said, cold weapon, cold gun. But they didn't do standard procedure, which is, everybody, just so you know, here it is. Even if it was a gun with a magazine type thing, right? They would have opened it up, make sure that they showed everybody that, hey, here's the gun. It is completely empty, everybody. Just so you know, here's the magazine. The magazine is empty. Or we have 2 bullets in here. 2 bullets, 2 blanks. We're about to have 2 live rounds being shot, just so you guys know. But he didn't do that, allegedly. He just handed over the gun and said, this gun is basically, don't worry about it, cold gun. It's interesting. So I understood. So I get it, him pleading guilty on that, because he was the last person to have the gun in his hand before he handed it over to Alec Baldwin. He had a certain set of responsibilities that he did not follow, and that's why he's pleading guilty, which makes total sense. Okay? All right. So if any of these 3 people, Alec, Hannah, or David, had done their job, Halyna would be alive today. It's that simple, said Andrea Reeb, the special prosecutor appointed by the DA to this case. Baldwin has yet to respond to the charges. He has not been seen today, but his glamorous wife, Hilaria, all right, put on a brave face, to drop this kid's off to school and all that. But this is after everything that went down. This is right after the gun took the life of Halyna. Right? This is on the set of Rust, and I'm sure he's freaking out. Understandably. You don't think that would ever happen, right? You don't think that something like that would ever happen. Of course, he's probably on the phone calling his wife, his kids, all that stuff. Shoot, his lawyer, most likely, his agent, all that. Now, this is Dave Halls. He was the one who just pleaded guilty to negligence of a deadly weapon. And here is Hannah Gutierrez Reed. A different photo, but same girl with the infamous one where she's holding the guns like this. And there's so many stories about how green she was on set etiquette, so on and so forth. So many different stories, so many different rumors flying back and forth about how she handled things on set, taking on-set guns off the set to go use as target practice and all that. There's stories like that were out last year about that, which is insane. Okay? The evidence clearly shows, moving on, the evidence clearly shows a pattern of criminal disregard for safety on the Rust film set. In New Mexico, there is no room for film sets that don't make our state's commitment to gun safety and public safety seriously. Prosecutors have not formally filed the charges. They will do so by the end of the month. There is a very clear process of pursuing justice in this case. We're committed to upholding the integrity of that process to ensure equal justice under the law. So after that, the 3 defendants will have to make a first appearance, but they will be allowed to do so virtually. All right. And we already know he's 64 years old. He's the one who accidentally shot this young woman right here, Halyna Hutchins, on the set of Rust. She was standing behind the camera trying to set up the shot properly. And then all of a sudden, gun allegedly, according to Alec Baldwin, went off. Okay? He says he didn't pull the trigger. Okay? In the 15 months that have passed, he emphatically denied responsibility for the accident, insisting that he did not pull the trigger, despite a forensic FBI analysis of the prop gun he used concluding that he did. Very interesting. He's basically saying, I didn't do nothing. I pulled the gun out and it went off by itself. He's literally saying that, and he's going to keep saying that till, I'm sure, to the end of time. But this is, of course, the set. It's a Western, all that. So crazy. So crazy indeed. Carly, thank you so much for the 5. Thanks for your great coverage of every news story. I come to your channel first. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I really do appreciate it. Without you and the many of you guys watching the show right now, without you guys doing that, I'd be talking to a wall, as I always say. And that's the doggone truth. Now, here's the other thing, too, which is interesting because I know that the husband, the widower of Halyna's, he has been, from my understanding, he's been talking about things with Alec behind the scenes, right? And apparently they've been very cool, right? But he still sued Baldwin, okay, in 2022, but settled the lawsuit with an undisclosed sum. He also made Matthew an executive producer on the film, which will resume production in Los Angeles. Now, that I don't know how I feel about that, y'all. I will be honest. I don't know how I feel about that. To me, if that was my wife that was on the set and her life was taken, right? I'm not trying to be the executive producer on a film, on that same film that her life was lost. I don't know. This, to me, I'd be like, no, let this project just be dead in the water. But then again, I mean, I'm not the husband of a cinematographer. Maybe he feels that this should be done in her honor to finish the project, so on and so forth. But at the same time, I would feel some type of way. But I feel like Alec Baldwin was trying to do something to make Matthew feel better so that maybe the lawsuit wouldn't be so bad. Because you got to remember, they settled outside of court. They settled with an undisclosed sum. And then he became an executive producer on the film, which is very interesting as well. And I'm thinking, Cassidy, I was just about to say that maybe there's extra residuals to it, but do you think people are going to be going out of their way to see this movie right now? You got to remember, I understand it's Alec Baldwin and all that, but does he still have that kind of draw in the theaters? Then on top of that, if you really think about it, are people really going to be drawn to see this movie because they heard about a cinematographer losing their life on the set of this movie? Maybe. But I don't think so. This isn't Brandon Lee losing his life on the set of The Crow. You see what I'm saying? Where people went to go see the movie and were guesstimating or guessing what part in the movie he lost his life in. You see what I'm saying? They're like, oh, that's the scene. I remember that. Oh, Brandon Lee lost his life right there. In the hail of bullets. That's the one where he died. You know what I mean? People were putting out rumors and stuff like that like crazy. I don't know about all that, personally. Okay? But it is kind of strange that they're doing that. Okay? Let's see. Prosecutors have resisted criticism of the long delay making a decision. They say they were forced to wait for reports from both the FBI, who took 10 months, and local Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office, which took a year. There was no press conference to announce the decision today. Instead, the DA's office issued a written statement to media, which was also published online. Along with Baldwin, several others were on the hook for the charges. They are Assistant Director Dave Halls, who handed Baldwin the gun for the fatal scene. Obviously, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, a young, careless armorer who was in charge of loading the weapons and checking that rounds were blunt and not live. And Seth Kenny, the most reclusive of the group, who was the owner of the prop shop used by the production. Halls has never spoken to the media, but he countersued Baldwin last year and denied responsibility. Interesting. This is the same dude that just pled guilty, okay? And last year he still sued Baldwin. Yeah, he was the one, or he countersued Baldwin. Okay, so that means Baldwin sued him. Okay. Gutierrez Reed denied responsibility repeatedly in a series of statements from her attorney. Kenny has been the quietest, shying away from the ferocious public attention on the case. But in his first police interview, he immediately blamed the incident on Gutierrez Reed. I mean, obviously, first person that had the gun is one of the first people I would be looking at as well, because it doesn't make sense. She's the one who's in charge with all the weapons. She's the one in charge with everything. And then for her to all of a sudden sit here and go, "Oh, it's clean. No worries. Nothing's in the chamber. Empty gun," and she's handing it off to everybody else. They're believing that what she said is scripture. Oh, he responded? Ooh, I'd love to see that. I'd like to see that. So that would be interesting. Let me see if he. Let me see. Let me see what I can do, because that's LS just said Baldwin having to be held to account or held accountable. I'm assuming is a wonderful thing. Yeah, and I mean he's got to he's been in trouble for putting his paws on paparazzi in the past, and he was able to walk on that. Is the 18 months enough? Is he going to get? Is this justice served or is it not? Okay. Do you think this is fair or do you not think it's fair? That's the question I was going to ask you guys after reading this information. Okay. AF, thank you so much for the 5. In other words, he got off. Someone put real bullets in that gun. Okay. Wake up. They're saying that is like literally pieces of a blank, like shrapnel, basically. Okay. Ken Whalen, yes. I do agree. The last person to have the gun, I feel like there's a chain of responsibilities. First person to look at is Gutierrez Reed, Hannah. She's the one who first had the gun. It goes straight through. Whoever else had the guns and they're being handed off, I feel like, and they didn't do their due diligence looking into the gun to make sure it was indeed empty, they're all responsible for it. That's what I think. But definitely she should be looked at for sure. She's the first person to have it. She's the first person to say empty. And she should have shown the empty chamber, empty rounds, whatever. She should have done what she did. But she should have done what she didn't end up doing, apparently. Okay. Wait, hold on. So let me see. Let me see if Alec Baldwin actually said something. Where would that be? Let me see. I wonder if he did say something. Let me see. But again, he will be looking at many, many, like many months possibly in prison. But I don't think he's gonna be I don't think he's gonna see any time in prison. Okay. I really don't think he is. Let me see. Somebody just said, yeah, I don't see. Unless you guys have it, please send it to me, mention it to me on, or send it to me on Twitter, whatever it may be. I got a short show for you guys today, or on this particular topic, but I wanted to give you guys the breaking news because this is still, I mean, to me, it's still surprising. You know what I mean? It's still surprising, but then it doesn't bring Halyna back home. It doesn't bring Halyna back to be the mother to Matthew's kid and all that. You know what I mean? It's still very, very sad. But then you also Snake Plissken said prop guns shouldn't even have firing pins. Yeah, I mean, this is one thing that's very interesting about this is we are now starting to see more and more actors and more action films using like fake guns that have no live rounds, don't have the ability to fire at all, and then they're using special effects to add the firearm, like the fire and the guns going off in post. A lot of places, a lot of actors are starting to do that because people are losing their lives because they bring in people who are negligent, people who are lazy with procedure, and people like Brandon Lee or Halyna Hutchins lose their lives because of somebody's negligence, right? And somebody said on here, Karma Time said on Twitter, it was accidental negligence. There should never be accidental negligence when it comes to someone who has a job, one job to do. You have one job to do, and that is to make sure that those guns are clean, or when they need to be loaded, they're loaded. And when you hand that to somebody, you follow standard procedure. This isn't something where somebody slips, right, and falls, or accidental. This is someone that did not look at what they needed to, was not focused or paying attention to their own job. That's what I feel. And that goes on to every other person on that set that actually handled the gun before they gave it to Alec Baldwin. And then on top of that, Alec Baldwin should be held accountable for as well, because he should have checked that damn chamber as well, period. When it is standard procedure. I've been on sets before with live weapons. It is standard procedure. You make sure everyone on the set knows this is a live gun, y'all. Or there's nothing in this, guys. Then the person takes the gun, they look inside of it themselves. The actor, whoever is the last one to have the gun in their hand, in their possession, they're supposed to look inside of it and go, okay, yep, empty. I know it's very annoying and stupid and frustrating, but hey, it stops from situations like what happened with Alec Baldwin and what happened with Halyna Hutchins from happening. I know it's tedious as hell, but that's what you need to be doing. That is standard procedure. Okay? That is 110% standard procedure. So, let me see. So far, I don't see. Hold on. Because I know everybody and their mom is starting to talk about this now. I mean, right now, I don't see, unless you guys see something else. If he spoke out, let me know, because I have yet to see that. I'm looking things up right now to see if there's anything here. And yes, I do agree. It's a terrible accident. Absolutely, Julie. I totally agree. It's a horrible, horrible accident. But at the same time, this most definitely indeed was an accident that could have been avoided. Absolutely. And if we sit here and try to find, I understand some people want to sit there and go, it was an accident and this, that, and the third happened and blah, blah, blah. And it's woulda, coulda, shoulda. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it was a bunch of people that were very negligent at their job, period. That goes all the way from the armorer all the way to Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin should have hit that gun as well, period. But he took the word of his AD, the assistant director. The AD took the word of, I'm just assuming, the armorer. Maybe there were some other people in between that were handling the gun before it got to the AD, which is Hall. Maybe that was the case. But he took the word of whoever else said and did not check the chamber. They should always be checking the guns. Period, point blank. That is standard procedure, y'all. Standard procedures that. I'm grabbing something here. But if there is something where he has said something, let me know. Because I'd like to see that too. Sorry, just downloading something real quick so you guys can watch this with me too. But I'm trying to see if there's anything in here. But yeah, even so, it just says that he's been charged with manslaughter, with involuntary manslaughter. But we don't know. We haven't seen anything as of yet. Of course, yeah, they're just saying he's still being prosecuted, or he's about to be charged with involuntary manslaughter, and he can look at the inside of a prison possibly for 18 months. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen. Okay, they're going to find some way around this. Maybe some community service or something, right? But we'll see what happens here. Okay. And yeah, Snake, I don't think we're going to see Alec Baldwin in handcuffs anytime soon. That's what I think. Okay. And Tyler Hackner, yes, he's rich. He's rich, bitch. You know what I mean? He's rich. Okay. So I don't think he's going to see any issues. I maybe someone who really does take the fall is Hannah Gutierrez Reed. That may be the situation here, but we don't know. Andy, thank you so much for the 5. First I have heard about something like this was the Brandon Lee. Yep. The Crow. Yep. I cannot believe this stuff happens on the set of movies. Yeah. I can't believe it still happens. I can't believe it still happens to this day. But I will say this though too, and it may be unpopular opinion or may be popular opinion. I don't know. But let me say this. It goes all the way back to the monies. Follow the monies, guys. Think about this for a second. You bring in someone like Hannah Gutierrez Reed, okay? You bring somebody on that has zero experience, very, very green, right? Just new to the game. Yeah, she's got a father that's an armorer too, so it's in the family and all that stuff, sure. Okay. But you bring her on because she's green and that you're getting her for a cheaper price. You're cutting corners so you can save money to make the movie, right? Because every dollar, every penny that you make, every penny that you get is being spent, or should be spent on what you're seeing on screen, right? So you're cutting corners. You hire this young woman who may not have a whole lot of experience. She just has some. So the problem already is bringing somebody who is onto a set that is still very green. And I get it. Some people are very lucky and they bring somebody on that may be a novice, maybe a real baby in the industry, but they stay watching their ish, making sure every T is crossed and every lowercase j is dotted, right? They make sure that they're on point because this is an opportunity for them to grow and flourish and maybe get other bigger gigs, right? But you bring in this young girl who, or this young armorer who is not experienced and is doing very, very sloppy things on the set, unprofessional things on the set. Now, I get low budget. I get cutting corners, doing all that stuff. Okay. But at the same time, when you are cutting or trying to find the best work for less pay, okay? Sometimes you're getting people who have no earthly clue what they're doing. She got hired. She got brought on this set. She did what she did. And no one ever went to her and said, "No, what you're doing is wrong." That's what it seems like. In fact, I just saw something in the corner of my eye. PRH just said, yes, I agree. Absolutely. That's true too. They had her running all over the place with lots, all over the lots with odd jobs. So she was doing all kinds of different things. And the funny thing is that there were other people on the set that were wearing several different hats whilst making this movie on the set. Now, that doesn't excuse why this gun was still loaded with something and no one ever said that the gun was empty, right? Or the gun was loaded, right? She still had one job, and her job was to make sure that was taken care of. Yes, it was lazy. And it ended up becoming deadly, which is sad. But it also is about the money. Follow the money as well. And then you see what kind of set you have, what kind of crew that you have. And that's messed up. Mrs. Coco B just said the set was highly unorganized and messy too. It looked a disarray. Yeah. Then you got somebody who's grabbing these guns and all that stuff, and it's just all crazy. You see what I'm saying? That is absolutely terrible. That is absolutely terrible, y'all. You don't do that. You don't bring that ish out here. That's just insane. So we'll see what's up with that. But I got a clip I want to show you guys a little bit. I'm not going to show the whole clip, but I want to see.
Apparently, we got it down. Okay, it is down. The district.
Let me grab this really quick so you guys can see this too. Oh boy. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You know, and this is what I was trying to say. I feel like the negligence started way before the gun was ever passed. Way before she went looking for the gun. It was when she got hired. It's when people got hired on this set. It all started there. The mistake, the real mistake, happened there. Okay? The real mistake happened there. That's what I think. It's sad. But all of them are responsible, in my personal opinion. They're all responsible for all that went down here. So let's take a look at this. Hit the number 1. Let me know you guys can hear this.
Apparently, we got it down. Okay, it is down. The district attorney will file charges in the Rust shooting. The first judicial district attorney, Mary Carmack Altweiss, is announcing that there will be charges here. And actor-producer Alec Baldwin and armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed will each be charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Halyna Hutchins on the film's Santa Fe County set. Assistant Director David Halls has signed a plea agreement for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. The terms include a suspended sentence and 6 months of probation. A copy of the plea will be made available later. No charges will be filed against the non-fatal shooting of Rust director Joel Souza. So then it goes on to say, after the evidence was reviewed, they came to this conclusion. And one of the quotes from the district attorney is, "On my watch, no one is above the law and everybody deserves justice." Baldwin and Gutierrez-Reed will be charged in the alternative with the 2 counts of manslaughter, meaning that a jury would decide not simply if they were guilty, but under which definition of involuntary manslaughter they were guilty. So push play, I guess, Janley. This is now the beginning of the next phase in this. Alec Baldwin will, along with Hannah Gutierrez, charged with involuntary manslaughter, and which means he will be heading back to New Mexico to answer these charges.
Yeah, Ted, that is revealing because this charge, involuntary manslaughter, is not an intent charge. So that's saying something that these prosecutors and investigators believe that this was not an intentional act, which has been what they've said all along. And just for example, involuntary manslaughter in New Mexico is when the defendant engages in lawful but dangerous behavior without exercising due caution and circumspection. It's a 4th-degree felony, so it's still a felony there in the state of New Mexico, but it's punishable by up to 18 months and, of course, a fine as well. But, you know, this is an example of that, where it wasn't intended, but there's some due care that was overlooked before this act was conducted that resulted in the death of a human being here. And it is interesting that the same charge is for Baldwin and for Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that, Ted.
Yeah, absolutely. And the charge with the same thing. As I read on in this press release, they sort of distinguish between the 2 charges for involuntary manslaughter. The first charge can be referred to simply as involuntary manslaughter. For this charge to be proved, there must be underlying negligence under New Mexico law. And then the other charge is involuntary manslaughter in the commission of a lawful act, meaning that you were doing something lawful, but it requires proof that there was more than simple negligence involved in a death. It is a 4th-degree felony, punishment up to 18 months, as you just said, and a $5,000 fine. And it's one thing to charge, it's another thing to get a conviction, and it'll be interesting to see because they've already entered into a plea deal with Dave Halls, who handled that gun as well. And you wonder if this deal was offered to Hannah Gutierrez and Alec Baldwin, or just Dave Halls. One would think that all three names would have been on this document. But we're only seeing 2.
Yeah, that's actually a really, really good question. That's the one piece that I'm trying to figure out. Why didn't Alec and Hannah, why weren't they on the same situation? But it does make me think, because we already seen Alec Baldwin. If you watched with me, we did a watch party. We watched the interview that he had with George Stephanopoulos, okay? And even in that interview that he had, I mean, he is going to die on that hill, okay? He is going to die on that hill. He is saying, I didn't do it, the gun went off, and all that. So I guarantee you, when it comes to this situation, he's not sitting here trying to go, I ain't trying to plead guilty. So he's like, Dave Halls, if he wants to plead guilty, that's on him. Me, I'm not pleading guilty on that. I'm going to fight this tooth and nail. Clearly, that's what's going on here. Okay? Clearly. But it's interesting that he literally is sitting here saying that he did not pull the trigger. And we're hearing other people, other specialists and experts say this is literally impossible for it to just randomly go off the way that it did. I wanted to show you guys this too really quick. Excuse me. I wanted to show this to you guys really, really quick as well. Alec Baldwin's lawyer calls Rust's situation, these criminal charges, a terrible miscarriage of justice. So, Oscar nominated, so Alec Baldwin's attorney has now spoken out, okay? And he's looking at two. They're charging Alec Baldwin with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Let me blow this up a little bit more. Okay? So he's getting charged with 2 counts of involuntary M. Just so you guys know. All right? And this is as big as I can. Let me see if I can get this. Yeah. Okay. So you saw that 2 counts, all right? This is according to what his attorney said. So the attorney has spoken out. This decision distorts Halyna Hutchins' tragic demise and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe that there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. He relied on the professionals with whom he worked, who assured him the gun did not have live rounds. We will fight these charges and we will win. This is according to his attorney. He didn't do any of the things he was supposed to do to make sure the people around him were safe. All right. And this is what Atweez said on Thursday. Okay. About Baldwin's alleged negligence handling the prop gun after the charges were made public. They did not exercise due caution, lack of care on the set. Exactly, lack of care. The actor doesn't get a free pass just because they're an actor, the prosecutor went on to say, emphasizing Baldwin was being charged as both an actor and a producer on Rust. Yes, he had 2 responsibilities on that set. All right. Stating that there will be no attempt to arrest Baldwin. The DA also told the cable newser that Baldwin's camp knew the charges were coming. So they have also charged the armorer with 2. So Hannah Gutierrez Reed is also she's catching 2 counts of involuntary M as well. Hannah is and has always been very emotional and sad about the tragic accident, but she did not commit involuntary M. This is what her lawyer is saying now. These charges are the result of a very flawed investigation and an inaccurate understanding of the full facts. We intend to bring full truth to light and believe Hannah will be exonerated of wrongdoing by a jury. Now, my thing is that how is this a flawed investigation and how is this inaccurate when you are the person who first had the gun? Your responsibility is in your title. The job that you have is the title of your job, armorer. Your job is to organize, make sure that the guns are taken care of, so on and so forth. Nobody's holding or handling the guns in a bad way. You make sure that blanks or live rounds are in or out of those guns. You make sure that you are keeping people safe on the set of a show. That is your job. You have one job to do, kind of thing. You know what I mean? You only had one job to do, man. And apparently she wasn't doing it right. But again, you're looking at this situation, and don't worry, I'm going to go back to the Alec Baldwin's statement again here. But they're saying this investigation is very flawed and inaccurate, in an inaccurate understanding of full facts. We intend to bring full truth to light and believe she will be exonerated of wrongdoing by a jury. Then I wonder, what is it that happened that we don't know about? What are these full facts that we don't know about, baby? Okay? So it says this, and then of going back to Alec Baldwin's lawyer, who said this distorts Halyna's tragic demise and represents a terrible miscarriage of justice. He's going to fight this, as you can see. He believes he is innocent. He really does believe that he did no wrong. He really does believe in his heart of hearts he did not pull the trigger. I think that's what he just believes in his mind now. Because God forbid he's the one who actually took a person's life on accident, right? Maybe there's fogginess in his mind. Some people, when they deal with a tragic moment, they will have blackouts. Maybe he really did pull the trigger, but how he remembers it is different. Maybe. I don't know. But it says Mr. Baldwin had no reason to believe there was a live bullet in the gun or anywhere on the movie set. Yet there are stories that we have heard about them going out here in these streets, taking prop guns, using them for target practice, using live rounds. Now, he may not have known about that, but that did actually happen. Okay? Then let's not forget the responsibility that you have when you get the gun in your hand. When they say cold gun, you're still supposed to check the gun yourself to double, triple, quadruple, whatever check, because you are the responsible one now from that point on when you are handed that gun, period. There's procedure. He himself, who is a veteran of the arts, veteran on these sets, he's been on many, many sets. This is nothing to him. Should have known better. He should have followed standard procedure, and he did not. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for putting out those things. I know some of you guys are like, some of y'all are defending his honor and all that. It is a terrible situation, but facts are facts. Facts are facts. Michelle Woods, thank you so much for the 10. Has anyone seen Jordan Peele's Nope? Kind of similar, but with animals. The people on the movie set didn't respect wild animals. I didn't hear that. I've never heard about the not respecting the wild animals on the set of Nope, but yes, I did see Nope, which was basically like a Western Jaws in the sky, for sure. But thank you so much for the 10. Let me get to the super chat here real quick. Lisa Mitchell, thank you so much for the 5. So they aren't going to arrest AB and HGR. I don't get that. Yeah, they're not going to arrest Alec Baldwin or Hannah Gutierrez Reed. I guess they're not. I don't know why. I don't know why they're not. Maybe that they're going to voluntarily take themselves in. That may be it. But we'll see what happens here. Okay. Yeah. Jane from the country just said, why was a loaded gun on the set? Alec Baldwin, a little boy lost his mom that day. Absolutely. Absolutely. But that's the thing. You trust the armorer because you trust what they're saying is true, that they're being professional and whatnot. That's what you're leaning on, right? The belief and trust into that person. But then, at the same time, that's why you also double check. Then if you hand it to a third person, you triple check. If you get in, and if the fourth and final person gets the gun, you quadruple check. That's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Period, point blank. That's standard procedure. Standard procedure. Okay? Even Alec Baldwin knows that. Okay? I understand accidents do happen, but the amount of negligence that happened on this set is astounding to me. And the fact that the lawyers, which they're getting paid to say these things, are sitting here going, "Oh, this is a gross example of this is an example of a miscarriage of justice." I don't know how else you can. I don't know how else you could look at this. A young woman, a mother, lost her life, and she didn't need to lose her life if they followed standard procedures. Okay? Yes, Alec should have known better. Exactly, Corwin. I agree. Okay? I completely and 110% agree. But that is breaking news right now, guys. This is all information. I mean, it's yeah, let me show you guys this. Let me show you real quick. Just so you know, this is true right here. Okay? And it's right here at the bottom. I'm going to highlight it real quick for you guys. Okay. So it says Assistant Director David Halls, who had informed Baldwin that the prop gun which took Hutchins' life was cold gun, which is what you say on set when you have a gun that's not loaded, signed a plea agreement for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. The terms include a suspended sentence and 6 months of probation. Okay, so he did a plea deal. Okay. Because he was looking at, most likely, the same charges, up to 18 plus months in prison. And he said, you know what? Why fight this? I'm responsible, just as responsible as anybody else. I was the last person to hand the gun to Alec Baldwin. And this may be the same situation for Alec Baldwin, too. He may get a plea deal, just like Hannah. Hannah might get the brunt of it all. I'm going to be real. Hannah might get the worst. She might get handed the worst deal if she tries to do some sort of deal, right? But even David Halls is admitting that, yes, there was negligence, that he was negligent when using a deadly weapon. Same thing with Alec Baldwin. Same thing with Hannah, who was the person who had the gun in the first place. So Brittany Paris, yes. Hannah is being charged as well. And rightfully so. I don't think this is, as they said, a terrible miscarriage of justice. I really don't think that. I really don't. Okay? This is a very, very sad situation. They were lazy. And that laziness, that negligence, okay, that lack of double checking, quadruple checking became deadly. Became very, very deadly. See, this is the reason why there's standard procedures in a lot of jobs that are very serious, that could, if you don't tighten that tether, or you don't buckle that piece, or if you don't double check those things 15 times over, the person can lose their life type thing. And if you don't double check and do those things, those tedious things, it could literally mean life or death. This is the reason why those things exist. There's a reason why there's certain procedures that are done. Whether they are corny or annoying, they are standard procedure that exist to keep people safe and keep people out of death's way, period. And they decided to take the easy route. And guess what happens? So in other words, they effed around, and now they're finding out, which is really sad, because that cost the life of a mother. It's very sad. Anyway, guys, that is the show, guys. I appreciate all y'all for being here. Like I said, it was just a quick, short piece of information. I just wanted to get you guys the information, let you guys know what was going on. Okay. And yes, Mindy, this is sad all the way around. Yes, there are no winners in this situation. None. Even if they find them guilty, or if they do a plea deal. Okay. Still, that is not bringing back this young cinematographer's life back at all. It is not. Okay. Lisa Mitchell, thank you so much for the 5. Totally agree with you, Pascal. Alec Baldwin had a responsibility to ensure that it was safe to use. He violated protocol by accepting from Dave Halls, and Dave Halls got off easy with that plea. Yeah. And you never know. They may be doing that same thing. They may go down that same route. So we'll see what happens here. Okay. But most likely I may be on a little bit later on this afternoon, all depending. But this was something I was waiting on, this breaking news, and it broke. So it's here. So please do me a favor. Thank you guys for all the super chats and all that. Mods, thank you so much for holding it down in the chat as always. But do not forget, hit that like button down below. That would really, really mean a lot. And if you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, because we talk about everything on this channel: pop culture, true crime, you name it, we talk about it right here. Okay. So hopefully I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon, but crush that subscribe button. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family. We are close to the 90,000 realm. Okay. We're almost in the 90s. All right. So hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Pascal Show family. Anyway, guys, it's time to get going. I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Have a blessed afternoon. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.